Hi, all. My name is Aram Yegizarian. I'm a broker associate with Coldwell Banker Hallmark Realty, and I have my very dear colleague Shirley Ann Hill with me. The reason of our podcast today is that um, we wanted to kind of talk about our experience as far as the LA Marathon is concerned, and the way we came about finding out that we both had done the LA Marathon 30 years ago, March 5th, 1995, was very interesting. So, a couple of weeks ago, as I was walking by Shirley Ann's workspace, I noticed that she had a photo of a marathon. And I dared to kind of, go take a close up look, and I noticed it was from March 5th, 1995. Well, I ran the same marathon as well, and that was my first marathon that got the whole thing started. I got the medal. I finished. So I got together with Shirley Ann and said, "Wow, Shirley Ann, I didn't know you ran the marathon in '95." And she said, Neither did I." So I said, "You know what? Since the LA Marathon, the 40th anniversary was actually last Sunday, we thought we can kind of expand on what got us motivated, what was our experience, so on and so forth. So we decided to do the podcast. Shirley Ann, would you like to chime in a little bit right now? And
Yes, I'd like to tell what brought me into the marathon.
fantastic.
Yes, I never thought I'd ever run a marathon. It was the farthest thing from my thought. However, I was a relatively new realtor
Uh huh.
with McGregor Realty. Uh, and I wanted to become very active in the company and with my peers. And so, therefore, when they asked around for the people to do marathon, I did not volunteer, but not many were, so they kept asking. And then I thought, well, I think I'll try it.
Good for
So
you.
that was the beginning. And of course, there are things you have to do, or many people have done, such as preparation for the marathon.
Absolutely.
Well, I had no preparation other than my many years of exercise. I went to the gym once a week, and
Wow.
my home has 20 stairs between downstairs and upstairs. And so, therefore, I was in, and hopefully still am, pretty good shape. So
You
I
are.
thought, well, and someone spoke up and told me when I said that, well, you know what, Shirley? It's a marathon, but you don't have to run. You can run, and then your body will sort of take you into a walking mode, and then you'll keep going and you'll pick up the running again.
Excellent.
So that was exciting to hear, and I signed up. So that was my motivation.
Very good. Very good. Well, the way I decided to run the LA Marathon was somewhat abrupt, but going back, I became physically active about a year and a half before the marathon. I decided to join the gym in sometime March of '93. The reason why I wanted to join the gym was, believe it or not, at the time I was sort of on the heavier side, and I was a smoker. I'd work my way up to a pack, tried
Mm-hmm.
to quit, and I felt the negative effects of smoking. So I said, you know what? I'll join the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and I either have to quit the gym or quit smoking. So that worked out greatly. I joined the gym. I started doing cardio, start running. My uncle would run around the Glendale College athletic track on Sundays. And a few months
Mm-hmm.
into going to the gym, he said, "Why don't you join me?" And I would do about 4 miles on Sundays. And a few miles during the week. I started expanding on that. And then in sometime in December of '94, I started working for Prudential. It was a new job, just like you had joined McGregor,
Yes.
and I felt if I can mentally prove to myself that
Mm-hmm.
I have the endurance, I have the capability, I have the motivation, the perseverance to try and train for something so challenging and then overcome it, I would have a pretty strong mental attitude and mental um, endurance to do a lot of other things, and especially, uh, excel in my new job. So
Yes.
even though I was a runner, I didn't really decide to train until January of '95, which only left me about 8 to 10 weeks to train.
Yes.
And the training was super arduous because that was one of the El Nino years I specifically remember. So I had to come back after work, 6-ish. I would run. We lived at around Lexington and Kentwood was where my residence was. Sometimes I ran under the rain all the way to Glendale College. Did a
It's a
few.
long run.
It
It's a
sure is.
long run.
It sure is. And then I would do a few laps around the track. And back then the track was crushed bricks. Now they have a more a cushiony, a modern type of a surface. So I would be all muddied up from head to toe coming back and then eat dinner. So that was quite a challenge training. But one thing that really started pushing me towards achieving that goal was I felt I would prove to myself that I can do a lot more accomplishments in life. So
Yes.
that's
Well,
that's what all started this whole thing of me running marathons. So
yes.
I'm curious, Shirley Ann,
Yeah.
how did you train other than you said you went once a week to the gym and you had stairs at your home? How did you actually train? Did you train with a group? What kind of distances did you do? Any special routes?
I hate to say that I didn't.
Wow,
Ours
that's incredible.
was so spur of the moment, more or less, with no months or weeks ahead for training. We decided, and those of us who felt, well, I'll try it regardless, my training was very basic, as I said before. Just I'd always gone to the gym, and of course, the house you live in, it's up and down. I had a beautiful dog, and I walked him daily. So basic, just normal for me. But I do certainly know that those who run marathons, they don't do that kind of training. They have to do some of that difficult and unpleasant. Feet hurt, this hurts, that hurts. To be in a marathon. So I'm really glad they didn't give us a marathon test because they probably would not have accepted me. But they didn't. I guess they wanted
Uh,
groups to just come from various organizations or whatever. And I was with the McGregor group. So that's it. And another thing is, I also knew in the back of my mind, all I had to do was finish. I didn't have to win.
Good for you. Well, it's funny you talk about winning because some of the questions I've received throughout the years is when I tell people I ran a marathon,
Hmm.
uh, they'll ask me if I won, and quite frankly, sometimes I feel they're maybe mocking me, but it's not that. It's I guess a lot of people don't realize what winning in marathons
That's
mean
true.
because
That's very true.
I personally I'm not a world class athlete. I'm not an
Hmm.
Olympiad to run it
Hmm.
2 hours and change because usually that's the time the
Hmm.
winners have ran it. Two
Yes.
hours and 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes. It
Wow.
depends on the course.
Yes.
But in my mind, I've often won the marathons because since I've done several of them, I've always tried to improve upon my time
Uh-huh.
and my recovery. For
Yes.
example, when I did my first marathon, I felt good about it. I felt good about my performance. I ran it 4 hours and 58 minutes, just shy of 5 hours.
Hmm.
But next day I really suffered and paid a price for it. It
Hmm.
felt like somebody took me to a 12-story building, pushed me down. I hit the concrete. I got to live about it. I got to live and tell about it.
Yes.
So the reason I brought this up is when I subsequently trained for other marathons,
Hmm.
my recovery was very important too. There was a
Hmm.
time on some of the subsequent runs that I did,
Hmm.
marathon runs. Um, I take it's always Sundays. I take Monday off, and Tuesday I can go to the
Hmm.
gym and shake it off, do a
Hmm.
couple of miles on the treadmill, do some
Hmm.
weights. So in my mind, that's how I won marathons because unless I guess you're genetically gifted,
Hmm.
you're a world class athlete. If you're gonna do 2 hours and change, you're not going
Hmm.
to be the official winner, but since there's tens of thousands of people doing the race, I'm sure a lot of people have certain goals.
Yes, tens of thousands of winners. Because
Absolutely.
even though I said I don't have to win the marathon, excuse me, I don't have to win the marathon, I won. I won in
Absolutely.
gaining confidence that
Absolutely.
I could participate in something that I'd never really done before.
Absolutely.
So it was, and it's an accomplishment I carry with me. I feel it's one of my life accomplishments, you see.
So is
So
mine.
winning is what you make of it.
It's
It's
relative.
only one person is going to cross that line in 2.5 hours. I crossed that line in nearly 8 hours.
Good for you.
So,
You
but I
finished it.
got my
You got
medal.
your medal. That's what
Yes,
it
I
counts.
got my
This
medal.
is a lot of work, folks. This is a lot of
Yes.
work. And
Mm.
Shirley Ann, I mean, I'm amazed how she did very little training, and yet she was to finish, because I couldn't have done that, training
Mm.
once a week. So you're you're athletically blessed, I
Yeah,
would
I
say.
think so. But I walked a lot, I have to admit. I
Uh,
ran as much as I could. Then I'd break into a walk. And I found people just passing me on the left and the right. And I thought, I'll catch you. So I just
that's
kept going and kept going. And eventually I reached the end of it.
excellent. So tell me more about that day of the marathon. You said you were passing people. I'm just wondering how you got there, getting dropped off.
Oh,
How did you feel during the race, after the race, before the
yeah.
race, so on and so forth? And by the way, folks, this is 1995, so the race started somewhere around the Coliseum, maybe Exposition Boulevard, to best of my recollection. And I'm 100% sure we had to run into the exposition. I mean, into the Coliseum to finish it. That I
Yes.
specifically remember. But you tell me your experience. How did you get there?
Hmm.
What you felt before the race, during the race, after the race.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
emotions.
Well, how I happened to get there, of course, was Miss Clovis, who was our manager at McGregor Realty. And so she made all the arrangements. We met at the office. We carpooled to the actual marathon. And we all were together in a group, happy and excited. And it was raining.
Yes,
It
it
was
was.
raining at the
Oh yes.
time. It was a day that you were hoping it wouldn't rain that day, but it did. Sprinkling starting. It never got to storm level or anything like that.
But
But
nasty winds.
yes,
I
yes,
remember that.
yes. So as I said, we're all there together, and I'm feeling very comfortable because I got all my crew around me, folks I know. Well,
Good.
once they say go, all this crowd that's there, seems like thousands of people, they take off. And honey, they're gone 2 miles before your feet even start.
Exactly.
So, my group, we traveled along together and chatted a bit. And I remember there were some things along the side of the road of the running, people handing out stuff. I kind of remember that. It's
Cheering
been
on.
30
Yeah.
years ago, so
Hmm.
I can't be positive what if. I don't think it was coffee or anything like that, but some people were along, maybe just cheering us on.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah.
Yes.
So that went on for me for a long time. My picture tells a beautiful story. I'm going to hold it up and show you
Yeah, please
a
do.
story.
Wow.
I hope you can see this picture pretty clearly.
Excellent. I can.
Uh,
I certainly can
you
from
can
this
see it.
distance. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Ground's
there I
wet.
am running. You can see me with my poncho pulled up because as I'm running where they take the photos, you run under like a bridge, I'm going to call it. The fellow on top, because I had a poncho on, he couldn't see my number. The other fellow doesn't, and neither did you
Oh
have
no,
a
I wish I
poncho.
did. Oh no.
Yeah, so I had the poncho and the hat, so that kind of helped me in the rain, and I yanked it up because he said, "Show your numbers." I'll
Oh,
never forget that. He said, "Show your numbers." And I yanked up my poncho at that time.
great.
Yes,
That's
and oh, the rest of the story is this lovely young man who had been running with me, I'd say for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. As soon as we went under the bridge, he was gone. I think he won the race, but
in
anyway,
his mind, I'm sure.
he was gone. And so my story of this wonderful event, this worthy of all the effort put into it.
Absolutely.
Uh, I met people. I stayed by myself a lot because once they passed me, then a new group would come, and it was getting, as it got dark, less and less people. So I was hurrying. Believe me, I was running fast as I could,
Oh yeah,
walking fast as I could, because it was getting dark out there. So I'm not sure that I hit on every point you asked, but uh,
pretty much.
emotions, a lot of emotions. I'm sure I was praying, and I did get a little bit of an emotional kind of fear. I won't say I was scared, but I thought, I'm all by myself, Nobody passed me maybe for 15 minutes or I don't know, could have been an hour nobody passed. I don't have all of that in recollection. However, I know I got there on the wings of the Lord.
Good for you.
I got there, and as I went through, I, I just went through the area that you've crossed the line and handed the medal. And I was so grateful and went on. And then what happened afterwards, we all met there because all of my crew, we all finished. So we all got a medal. Uh,
Good for you
Everybody was
guys.
there before me. As usual, I'm late. So I was late getting in for the marathon. So that's something I have to fight all my life. It's time getting somewhere. But the marathon, I didn't have to fight it. I just had to do it. So we, as a group, we were all happy to see each other in our medals. And we went back to get our cars at the office. And then we all went together to one of the restaurants in La Cañada. Um, and we celebrated, together that we had done this.
Good.
And then everybody went home and we ate. We didn't really eat there, I don't think. I think we just had a little celebration
Good.
drink. And we went home because we were all so exhausted. And Miss Clovis, I believe she was the one who ran, and she was out of the office for 3 days
Yep.
after.
I'm not
She
shocked.
couldn't make it 3 days.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what
That
happened.
explains it all. Well, with me, I was married at the time, and my ex wife was going to drop me off in the area, but I wasn't anticipating the traffic jam on a Sunday morning. Six a.m. I think the start time was 6 a.m. on the 101 freeway.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
so tempted to get out of the car and start running on the freeway because I was nervous. I didn't want to miss the starting time, or the
Oh,
starting line.
yes.
I thought I'd give myself plenty of time. But as soon as she exited, I said, you know what? I said, I'll start running to the starting point. She probably took an exit about a mile before,
Yes.
And maybe it was more of paranoia. I think there was still plenty of time to get to the start line, but I just didn't want to be late. So I suppose that day I really ran 27.2 miles instead of
Instead of
26.2.
25,
Yeah.
yes.
So I got there, I start the race, and it was very emotional for me. One of the biggest emotional aspect of the race or the marathon throughout the years it's been, I get to tour LA on foot.
Mhm.
All the neighborhoods that are famous locally around the world or around the US, I remember one year in 98, we're at 95, but in 98, I remember running by uh, on Hollywood Boulevard. I think it was probably one of the changed courses by the Chinese theater, by the Man Chinese theater. So I got to see all these landmarks. I got to see all these neighborhoods, and like you said, people are standing there cheering. Some of them want to pass you a bottle of water,
Yes.
oranges, bananas. And then, a few people might try to slip you a beer to see if you want to drink
Oh,
beer on the course. I've had
yeah.
that, whether it was some kind of a parody or reality.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a very emotional type of a thing. And although I don't think I was ever outside of the crowds, because I finished around, like I said, 4:58, a little under
Mhm.
5, and there were quite a few people out
Yes.
there. But still, right around the 21st, 22nd miles, for those of you who ran a marathon, your mind really starts to play with you.
Mhm.
So I was starting to doubt myself. I said, what did I get myself into? I'm lethargic. My energy's gone. I'm wet. There's this nasty wind blowing.
And
The
rains.
intermittent, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
drizzle and rain.
Yes.
So I said, I started doubting myself. And one of the things I remember specifically, in the picture similar to yours, the shirt that I was wearing was it was a Speedo brand shirt from 1992 Olympics,
Mm.
and it said, "No pain, no Spain," because I guess the Summer Olympics in '92 was in Spain. So I was wearing that shirt, and somehow I felt I felt very strong that I should push myself through the whole thing,
Mhm.
and I did it, and I did it. Uh, at a level where at least I felt proud of the energy, the time, and the effort that I had put in. I
Yes.
got out what I expected to get out of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think I've told you this, but I want to tell the audience this is
Yeah.
kind of funny too. So I finished the race. I'm very happy, and my wife at the time and my brother-in-law are supposed to pick me up.
Mhm.
Well, we didn't have cell phones. Very few people had cell phones, and I couldn't hold the cell phones for 26.2 mile, even if I had one.
Mhm.
We finally find each other at the Coliseum, indoors. And then I walk out. I was wearing one of those, thin, whatchamacallit, thin blankets, like emergency
Mhm.
blankets they were handing out. They do
Mhm.
usually do that at almost all marathons. But I remember the wind was still blowing, and they sort of had forgotten where they had parked. And I was begging them. I said, please try and remember where you parked the car. This is not pleasant. Just
Mhm.
the weather wasn't pleasant. So I didn't really do much celebration outdoors that day. I got home, took a nice warm shower, relaxed. But the next day I was really sore, like I said.
Mhm.
So, but it was a great experience. The
Yes.
the the fact that I got to tour LA on foot. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I went back,
Mhm.
for a few reasons: to keep on touring
Mhm.
LA, to keep on improving my time and winning myself. I'm not competing against
No.
anyone.
No.
Sometimes I'd see a runner that was kind of close with my pace, try to keep up with them just
Mhm.
to pull me along.
Mhm. Mhm.
And most of all, I've kept doing marathons and half marathons.
Mhm.
In recent years, it's more of half marathons, just to stay in shape.
Mhm.
I think it's become a very good habit. It's one of the great, better habits that I have, and it's a great
Mhm.
lifestyle. And I'm still running. I did the half marathon. I've done a lot of some of these medals that I
Mhm.
have here are from the Huntington Beach
Mhm.
marathon. It's usually February, and by no
Yes.
means I'm not promoting any kind of races, any kind of events. I'm just expressing what I've enjoyed doing. So almost on yearly basis, I've done the half marathon at the Huntington Beach. The Huntington Beach has a half and a full. So some of these medals are from the Huntington Beach. So I try now keep my distance low, but still stay in shape. It keeps me,
Mhm.
shape, because marathons are quite challenging.
Yes, they are.
So as I was saying, what was your takeaway from that specific marathon, and just generally, for because you said you
Mhm.
had a very positive impact on your life. So what was your takeaway from the LA marathon that we did 30 years ago?
Yes, yes. Well, I think one of the main takeaways is it opened my eyes to do things that appeared to be something I'd never do or that was very difficult. I think, as I said before, that built on my confidence, both not only physical confidence, but to do my job with all the energy and effort it takes to be a good realtor. And it's important in this job of being a realtor to be good. You're competing against other good realtors. So you need to be top notch. And I always was. Controlled a neighborhood all by myself for
Oh
a
yeah,
while. Yes.
Adams Hill,
Adams Hill. I'm
of
known as
course,
Miss Adams Hill.
Queen of Adams Hill.
Yes,
I'd call you the Queen of Adams
thank
Hill.
you. And unfortunately, these young folks have come in now, and they're kings and queens of Adams Hill.
But don't forget, you're still a fighter, a competitor, and
Yes,
you still
yes,
got that
yes.
punch in you.
I
So
still do, that's for sure. And
I wouldn't discount that.
okay, so that's it. That's my big takeaway. One other little takeaway. Hopefully, this will come across as humorous. I've always loved my high heel shoes, and I've always loved to, try to put it together where it looked pretty nice, with the outfits and all. And it takes a certain body to do that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So I was very happy that I got through this marathon and to continue taking care of myself, even though it was my very first and my very last marathon.
That's still very respectable. And just to expand on that, what my takeaway was, I kind of mentioned it during our conversation, but I wanted to take my abilities as far as I could. And eventually I got into doing triathlons. For those of you who are not familiar with triathlons, you swim, cycle, and run. And subsequently in 2008, I did the longest standard triathlon distance that there is. It's called the Ironman. I got the medal actually here. That's one of the medals I've displayed. I went to Germany. I trained for it, and the Ironman, I was able to complete it in 13 hours and 39 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It entailed 2.4 mile of swim, 112 mile of cycling,
Wow.
and at the end, a full marathon.
Oh, my. A full marathon?
A full marathon at
after
26.2 miles.
Oh, my.
So that to date is my slowest marathon time, which is understandable.
Yes.
I'm still proud of it. I ran that leg of the race 5 hours and 30 minutes. But I'm absolutely with you. For us to be in this business, we need to have endurance. We need to have a lot of mental endurance, physically be active, take on challenges, just to be able to represent our clients in the
Yes.
best light, in the best way possible.
Yes.
And, I think doing endurance races or a type of physical activity races, events, has continued to prove to us that we will be able to continue in this business, successfully,
So, yes,
and
yes.
being, stellar at our work.
Absolutely.
So for that, I think we should have a toast. What do you think,
Oh, I
Shirley Ann?
think so too.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And we're going to have a healthy toast,
A healthy toast.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're going to pour.
Since it's around work time, we just got to have a very refreshing San Pellegrino. So let's do it.
Pellegrino is our toast for our. I'll let you say what the toast is for.
For our health, prosperity, and to our success and continued energy, friendship, and energy
Yes.
to assist our clients.
Yes.
So here you
Okay.
go. You take mine,
Thank you.
and I'll take this.
All
Cheers,
right.
Shirley Ann. I really
Cheers to
appreciate
you,
your time.
Aaron. Thank you.
It was great to find out we had both ran the
Yes.
same marathon, not knowing each other 30 years ago.
Yes, and meeting here at wonderful
Yes.
Coldwell Banker
Hallmark Realty. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.